Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll sing a song of love and a rose in the winter time. And a rose in the winter time.
Hi, neighbor.
Good morning, and welcome to this Baja 4 online collaborative worship service. We start today with gratitude. Gratitude for the Unitarian Universalist Justice Arizona Network, UU-JAZZ, which is our state action network. We start with this gratitude because this worship service, which you are about to participate in, was made possible through a grant that UU-JAZZ received to help Arizonan Unitarian Universalists engage with LGBTQIA+ issues this year. Today we are hearing from Alex Capitan, who is a trans Unitarian Universalist religious professional and also the co-leader of the Transforming Hearts Collective. But before we get there, I want to take this moment to acknowledge that we are living on stolen land. This land was home to the Chiricahua Apache, the Pasquayaqui, the O'odham, and the Opata people, who are the indigenous stewards of this land and are our neighbors today.
I'm so delighted to be with you this morning, and I'm so thankful to UU Justice Arizona for the invitation to be part of this special worship service. Today, here in this time, when we are creating a virtual sacred space together, when we are gathering from different physical, spiritual, emotional, and ancestral locations, it feels important to locate myself and invite you to reflect on your location as well. I'm joining you today from my home near the Great Falls. I live where the river the Abenaki peoples call Quinnitigak, or Long River, meets the Mohawk Trail, in the place called Peskiamskut by the Pecumtuck Nation, and Greenfield, Massachusetts by white settlers, not far from the invisible corner where Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire meet. My ancestors have lived in this river valley and in eastern Massachusetts and in German colonized Wisconsin farmland and in the steel mills of Ohio, and before that, Germany, Hungary, and England. Their names were Capitania, Bergdorf, Daniel, Pierce, Orange. I come from preachers and farmers and engineers and artists and teachers. I have other ancestors and elders who have made it possible for me to be here today too. As a queer and genderqueer person, I would not be here without generations of people before me who resisted oppressive norms of gender and sexuality and imagined a different reality into being. Their names were and are Feinberg, Bornstein, Murray, Johnson, Rivera, De La Verre, Kramer. And finally, I follow in the path of white anti-racism organizers, educators, and activists. Braden, Liuzo, Reeb, Okun, Spade. I want to invite you to take a moment and join me in speaking your ancestors and elders into this space. The people, those living and those who have passed on, who forged a path that has made your life possible. Thank you for that. Feel the power of all those souls that have brought each of us to this place. We are part of a larger fabric, held in a larger web and purpose. Let us worship together.
If you have a chalice, I invite you to get it ready and join me in this chalice lighting. This is an excerpt from Starhawk's Dreaming the Dark. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been. A place half remembered, half envisioned, that we can only catch glimpses from time to time. Community. Somewhere, there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere, a circle of hands will open to receive us, eyes will light up when we enter, and voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace where we can be free.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Open your hearts, everyone. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Don't be afraid of some change. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here with you today. We're going to continue with some breath work, and this morning we're going to focus on releasing and composting and letting what we release grow up and return to us as a form of prayer. So find yourself a comfortable spot. Feel your spine and your feet attaching, rooting into wherever you are. Let them rest in that place. And just starting with a big breath out. We're all carrying a lot right now. And so this is an opportunity to let go of some of that extra weight. When you exhale, you might want to shrug your shoulders a little bit or just rock and feel your neck move. What does it feel like to let go of knowing the answer or being right? Is there anything that you personally are avoiding or resisting that you want to just set down for a little while? Can you let go of thinking you know how things should turn out? Can you let go of wanting things to go back to how they were? For me, when I do this, I also face some of my fear. And some things, even if I try and let go of them and try and put them down, they're still with me. But in this moment, is there any way to make them less heavy and to give them to the earth to compost? And so just one more moment here to release anything else, any extra weight that you're carrying that you want to turn over to the earth, anything that's been on your mind or your heart. With one more big breath out. So when we release things, when we give them to the earth, we know that compost takes time. It takes time to break down. It takes time to transform. But that ultimately, what is given back to the earth will become nutrient again and will grow in a new form. Can you think of what soil smells like? Rich dirt, ready to be planted in. Can you think of how it feels in your hands? Picking it up, or maybe digging in it. And if we're making compost, it's easy to wonder, what seeds are we nourishing? One of the powerful things about being human is that we are constantly casting off seeds. Our dreams, our intentions, our hopes, our connections with each other. All of these are seeds. And as we plant them, moving through the world, we release them to be nourished, not knowing what they will become. The process of giving nourishment to the seeds is just as important as dreaming. So letting things go and letting them become what they will be. for today turns inward, that we might each learn to let go of what no longer serves us, that it might compost and transform into the nourishment that will feed our dreams and hopes as we grow together.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will I know this rose will I know this fears I know this fears I know my fear will I know its fear will I know its soul will I know its soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose I know this rose I know my fears I know my fear I know my fears I know my fears I know its fears I know its wings. I know this soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
So I have a story for you this morning, and it's called The Story of Bat, and I wrote it myself. You ready? All right, here we go. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a faraway land, a terrible fight broke out between the mammals and the birds. Now, as you might know, mammals are all the animals that are furry and have teeth and carry their babies inside them until they're born. And birds are all the animals that can fly and have beaks or bills and lay eggs in nests, right? You see, the mammals didn't trust the birds, and the birds didn't trust the mammals. They were just so different from one another that they didn't understand each other. The mammals didn't know what it was like to see the world from way up above, and the birds didn't know what it was like to be covered in fur instead of fluffy feathers. So the birds and the mammals started to fight. But there was one animal who didn't understand the fighting. It was Bat. Now, Bat couldn't pick a side in the fight because Bat felt like she was a little of both. After all, bats are furry and have teeth, yet they also have wings and can fly. Bat was friends with both birds and mammals. She would go flying with her bird friends and snuggle with her furry mammal friends. When the fight broke out, Bat was really sad. She went to both the birds and the mammals and begged them to stop the violence. "Don't you see?" she said to the other animals. "You're not that different from each other. We all feel love and hunger and pain. Look at me," she said. "I can fly, yet I'm also furry. I'm proof that there's no real divide between mammal and bird." But the other animals wouldn't listen. They had been told all their lives that birds and mammals had nothing in common. They had been taught to fear one another. Pick a side and stay there, Tiger said at the mammals' camp. Stop pretending to be something you're not. What are you really? Eagle screeched the next day at the birds' camp. I am both and neither, Bat said. But that was inconceivable to the other animals. Even her bird and mammal friends laughed in Bat's face, made fun of her, pushed her aside, and kept fighting each other. At first, Bat was too sad to do anything more. But then she realized there were other animals like her, animals that were different from the others. Who do you think she went and found? She went and found Platypus. Platypus is amazing. Platypus has a bill like a bird and lays eggs like a bird, right? But platypus is also furry and has no wings like a mammal. Bat also found flying squirrel, who's furry yet flies through the air. Bat, platypus, and flying squirrel went and found ostrich and penguin and kiwi, who are birds that can't fly, so they weren't part of the fighting. Now, there were more animals, look at them all, who could help the mammals and the birds understand that not all birds are the same, right? And not all mammals are the same, and they should stop fighting and get to know each other better. It was hard, but the other animals finally listened and stopped fighting. They started realizing how amazing it was that there were so many differences among them, that birds can be as small as tiny hummingbird or as massive as albatross. And mammals can have tusks like elephant or the softest fur like bunny. And there were also some ways that some birds and mammals were more similar to each other than to their own kind. Owl and hedgehog realized they both like staying awake at night. And loon and otter realized they both loved the water. Eventually, everyone forgot that it had been Bat, who was the bravest one of all and had stopped the fighting. And that was just fine with Bat. What mattered most to her was that all the animals were at peace and that she had made a whole bunch of new friends like her who were different in the coolest ways. Hello again, everyone. Thank you again for welcoming me into your virtual sanctuary this morning, and for the gift of getting to share this space today. Earlier, I named some of the ancestors and elders who made it possible for me to be here. It's important for me to tell you that I wouldn't be here without Unitarian Universalism either. My parents joined a UU church in a suburb of Milwaukee when I was 6. My dad is the son and grandson of Presbyterian ministers, and my mom was raised a devout atheist in small town Wisconsin. The family joke is that when they became UU, my dad's family all said, "Oh no, he's lost religion." And my mom's family all said, "Oh no, she's found religion." And I think that says it all about this wonderful faith of ours. I'm so grateful that my parents joined my home church. It was a wonderful place to grow up. I gained an open-hearted curiosity for all the different religious paths and truths that people hold. I was taught to honor my own truth, even or perhaps especially when that truth was different than what was expected. I internalized the idea that living our faith meant working to make the world a better place and fighting for those who are oppressed. And as a queer and trans person, I was able to grow up without any sense that these deep truths about myself were at odds with my faith. My queer, trans, stubborn as heck teenage UU self was saved by Unitarian Universalism. As UU youth, we radicalized each other, exploring who we could be if we helped each other actively resist racism, heterosexism, and other oppressions. We created worship together in ways that were embodied and truly helped me feel the power of unconditional love. It was magic. In fact, I credit being raised UU to a large degree with my ability to be the person I am today. My full, authentic, queer, gender fluid, flamboyantly masculine and feminine all at one time, neither here nor there, Mary Martin as Peter Pan, bow tie flashing, motorcycle riding, roller derby playing, BOI boy self. And yet, even though I was raised here, in Unitarian Universalism. Even though this religion has given me so much, I have never found a congregational home. You see, not actively making it harder for me to be myself in the world was not enough for me to feel a sense of unconditional welcome and belonging in my church as I grew into adulthood. Nor have I ever felt that way in any of the dozens of UU congregations I've been to since. I've never found a UU congregation where I felt like my lived experience of Unitarian Universalism as a queer, trans, raised UU was reflected and honored. I am one of the 72% of trans UUs who do not feel as though UU congregations are fully inclusive of us. 72%. My chosen family, my closest loved ones, include disabled trans people of color, and working class trans people. But only 20% of disabled trans UUs feel fully included in our congregations. Only 15% of trans UUs of color feel fully included. And only 11% of the most financially vulnerable trans UUs feel fully included. And this is no small thing because trans people and trans UUs are more likely to be disabled, people of color, and low income. My friends, my heart is heavy because I don't want to just find a home myself. I want Unitarian Universalism to be the saving power in my people's lives that I know it can be. I want to be able to tell Black trans women and struggling queer young adults and LGBTQ refugees and asylum seekers that they can go to their local UU congregation in person or online and find healing and strength and resilience to keep up the fight for survival in a culture that's trying to annihilate them. But I can't. Because I can't trust that their local congregation will even be safe for them, much less a place of resilience. Can you hold this heaviness with me? Whenever I share my story about how I've never found a home in Unitarian Universalism, there are always people listening who think, that's just because you haven't tried our church yet. So if that's you, I see you. And I deeply believe, I truly do, that this church, this wonderful community of yours, deeply wants to be a place where I and my chosen family feel welcome. Am I right? I wouldn't be here today if that weren't true. But I need you to help me hold my heavy heart at the fact that for the entire 30 years that I have been a UU, ever since my parents joined my home church when I was 6 in 1991, Unitarian Universalism has told the world and has told me that LGBTQ people are welcome here. But that entire time, I have experienced that welcome as conditional. My whole life, I've known that I could attend any UU congregation and not be actively rejected, as long as I wore certain clothes and said certain things and acted in a certain way. I've known that because I'm white and college educated and able-bodied, I can appear to fit in a way that so many of my people can't. I have known that because of this, people would be friendly to me. But that's not the welcome I need. I need a welcome that goes beyond friendliness, goes beyond tolerance or acceptance. I need a welcome that isn't conditional. I need a welcome that's celebratory, a welcome that transforms hearts, yours and mine. And here's the thing. I know I'm not the only one here who is yearning for this sort of welcome. I know I'm not the only one here who has felt the saving power of Unitarian Universalism to transform hearts, remind us of our interconnectedness, and support us in loving one another across lines of difference. I know I'm not the only one here who has felt the need to leave certain parts of yourself behind, who has felt pressured to look or talk or act in ways that make you appear to fit in order to feel welcome here. You see, I'm not just in the ministry of welcome for myself and my chosen family. I'm in it for you, all of you, because I know that in order to survive this world, this dominant U.S. culture of division and hatred and violence and environmental destruction, we need spaces like this one to be more than simply friendly. We need spaces like this one to be places where we can unlearn the judgments and assumptions and biases that have soaked into us from the outside world, and practice healing the divisions that are tearing our communities and our world and our very souls apart. My Unitarian Universalism is not a community where we are all the same and we get to relax on Sunday knowing that everyone else is just like us here, a collection of the good ones who have all the answers. My Unitarian Universalism is a community where we are all different, and we take joy in learning about each other and sharing in our different ways of making meaning, and we care for one another and one another's people, and we never stop asking questions. My Unitarian Universalism is a community where none of us feel like we have to leave any parts of ourselves behind. This is why my best friend, Reverend Michael Slack, and I created the course that this congregation has access to thanks to UU Justice Arizona. UU Jazz received a grant from the UU funding program that allowed them to purchase this course for you and every other congregation in Arizona, which is amazing. The course is called Trans Inclusion in Congregations, but it's about so much more than trans inclusion. For years, as trans UU leaders, Michael and I were asked to come teach UU congregations about trans people. People wanted to understand all the vocabulary. They wanted to learn what the right things to say were. They wanted to feel a sense of mastery over this new, unfamiliar terrain to them. And we got really tired. Because although as educators we love helping people understand things, going around doing Trans 101 trainings wasn't changing the things that keep us from finding a UU home. It was helping a lot of people feel like they intellectually understood trans people, but they still joyously sang songs about brothers and sisters and continued to misgender every single youth who came out as trans or non-binary within their congregation, and didn't make any changes to their women's group or their annual men's retreat. Their welcome was still conditional on trans UUs looking a certain way, speaking a certain way, acting a certain way, and honestly, being willing to betray parts of ourselves in order to fit in. So we created a course that helps people really engage with the depth of what's required if we're serious about welcome. The course takes you on a journey, starting with the theological grounding for welcome, this denomination and your congregation's gender history, and your own experience of gender. We offer expansive frameworks for how to think about gender and sexuality, talk about the lived experiences of trans people of many different races, abilities, ages, classes, and sexualities, and discuss trans spirituality. The course ends with a conversation about culture, about the differences between understanding welcome as a superficial friendliness and understanding welcome as a spiritual practice and an invitation to transform your heart, and about how to shift the culture of your congregation to be radically welcoming to all who are currently here and who want to be here. I hope that if you haven't engaged with the course yet, you will, and that it helps you live into what it means to be a welcoming congregation in this moment. The course has 6 sessions, each of which includes a pre-recorded lecture from me and Michael, resources to take things deeper, and reflection and discussion questions. You can take it as an individual anytime, or you can experience it as a group, which is what we recommend. It's really easy to engage with in these times of physical distancing. Go to uujaz.org for more info. If it doesn't sit right with you, that despite all your best intentions, there are people who don't feel fully welcome here, people among you right now, and people like me and mine, the question is, what are you willing to do to change that? How can you resist the urge to already have all the answers and be willing to ask more questions, try new things, and transform your heart? You see, being a welcoming congregation is not a static identity any more than being an ally is. It's not a sign you can put up or a box you can check or a statement you can make that means every LGBTQ person coming into your virtual or physical space will feel welcome. Every queer youth, every bisexual Black person, every low-income trans person, every gay immigrant, every asexual, agender Asian American, every disabled lesbian elder. Because being a welcoming congregation isn't something you are, it's something you do. Because welcome is a verb, it's an action, it's a spiritual practice. So I hope I can count on you to join me in this practice, because it is truly one of the most holy, heart-transforming, and world-changing things that we can do together. Amen, Ashe, Aho, and blessed be.
Building bridges. bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With reach out to bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With reach out to voices, will you reach out to me? With friends we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Today's story of action comes to you from Mountain Vista Congregation, where there is a new initiative to accompany people as they leave detention and make home in the United States. The program is called Contigo, meaning with you. And since June 2020, Contigo is a ministry that is co-led by Mountain Vista congregants and community members that strives to journey with people as they leave detention and seek asylum. Members of the group visit detention centers and have worked in immigration and asylum and help our community understand the stories, needs, and experiences of people who are returning to community. Together, with connections that they make on the inside and organizations that they are part of, we help organize shelter, housing, financial assistance, food, or legal assistance. Anything that makes it easier to flourish and grow in community. As part of this effort, I want to highlight one story of action and an invitation and a hope that this is not just a Mountain Vista effort, but might be a Baja 4 ministry. Our story involves MVUU congregants Melanie and Mike, who opened their home to a family seeking housing recently. Now, Melanie and Mike are snowbirds, so their Tucson home is empty for part of the year. And when a request came to Contigo to help house a couple seeking asylum from Russia, Melanie knew that now was the time to take action. Melanie and I had an opportunity to have a Zoom call and for me to hear more about what motivated this. Here's what she shared. Melanie, what led to you deciding to open up your home?
Well, I was thinking about this. I've reached out to different cultures before. We've had exchange students in our house over the years, and I've tried to be active with asylum seekers.
Wow, I mean, I guess I'm just really moved. It's something that I hope that I will prepare myself to do with my own home. It's really remarkable.
Crazy not to let somebody use it. We don't need two houses. That means we always have one house sitting empty.
I guess I just want to tell you thank you for leading the way and taking the first step in this so that more of us can also take that next step.
I don't know. I just feel a calling to help somebody who needs help, I guess.
I went to visit the folks who are currently staying in Melanie and Mike's home. And as they're still going through asylum processes, it was best not to show their faces, but you will get to hear one of their voices. It was such a gift to visit them and hear some more of their story. They offered me coffee, showed me the notebook where they'd been studying English while in detention, and also showed me the single backpack that they traveled from Russia to Mexico to the United States border with. Now, I asked the question, what's the most helpful things folks can do for people who are leaving detention. Here's some of what they shared.
When somebody go out from detention center, the first thing that they need is place for living. Maybe not like months and months. If you can do this, that's perfect, because it's like it's not so stressful for this person. Because the first thing you have to know where you can go and sleep and be in this safe. I know that it's very scary that to open your house to somebody, because you really don't know who is that person. Because we are just trying to build our life here, and that's first important thing. It's place like a home when you can go back every day and sleep there. Yeah, because without this you can't do another ways. Yeah, you cannot apply for documents because you have no house. You cannot like do something. You cannot think, and that's very hard. If people can help immigrants, that's amazing, because I think world builds like that when people support each other and help each other.
I love what she says. The world builds like that. One hope is that this might not be just a Mountain Vista project, but that this could be a Baja 4 effort to build that world. We know there is a lot to learn to do this well and give this effort justice. We want to learn how to do that together. So here's your invitation to action. This Wednesday evening online, we are working with UU Jazz and the Phoenix Restoration Project to offer training called Accompaniment and Dignity. The training will focus on the first principle of Unitarian Universalism, that we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people. The training will focus on how accompaniment is no charity effort. It's about seeing asylum seekers as equals, as community members, and as humans. We hope you will join us. Whether this is the first time you've ever thought about doing this kind of accompaniment work, or maybe you've done it for quite some time, we hope you learn and teach us. You can find the event information on the Baja 4 webpage, the Mountain Vista Facebook page, or you can ask your minister for more information. The registration for the Zoom link will be through UU Jazz. So we really hope we see you then. If you're interested in offering other kinds of support, food, legal, financial, or if you're interested in the possibility of opening your home, we hope you reach out to us. May we build the world just like that, with and for each other.
Our closing words come from Reverend Joe Cherry, also from the wonderful book Voices from the Margins, called Prayer for Living Intention. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. Go in peace.
As we go forth, using all the old and new ways we have learned to connect, and even if we don't leave this room or building, may we be willing to be uncomfortable, to be courageous, to be ourselves and be stretched, be new, be counted. Blessed be.